Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JC Courtside, coming at you today on Thursday, May 14th. Guys, I hope everyone's having a phenomenal start to their day. I hope your basketball team won last night because mine didn't. Mine hasn't, in fact, for 3 games in a row. I hope you guys are all doing absolutely phenomenal. Welcome back in. It is Thursday morning, and I'm so happy to see y'all, man. Thank you for spending your day with me to start your day off, whether you're listening after the fact as a podcast listener. Be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. You know I appreciate you guys very much. And whether you're a live listener, whether you're a part of the live crew, I do appreciate you guys probably a little bit more than the podcast listeners, just because you guys come in every day, just like your morning show on SportsCenter, except this guy actually knows what he's talking about. So I do appreciate all of you guys. Listen, y'all, today's episode is going to be an interesting one, okay? We only had 1 game last night. We're going to be talking about extensively about that game and where the series is headed and whether or not the losing team can come back. We're also going to be talking about coaching issues, coaching problems. We're going to be talking about some historic drop-offs for players from the regular season to the playoffs, and just see where Jalen Duren, where he ranks in the players who've struggled from having a great regular season and then to what he's doing now in the playoffs. And I want to show you the comparisons just so you guys can have an idea of how historical of a drop-off this is for an all-star and all-NBA player. I did a lot of research this morning, and I'm a single father for the next 2 weeks. My fiance is back home in California visiting her family. So not only did I have to take Reiner out for a walk in the morning, but I also had to get ready for the show and start everything up, okay? And then after that, we are going to be talking about the games for tomorrow night, because Game 6 of Cleveland-Detroit is tomorrow, as well as Game 6 for San Antonio and Minnesota. Both home teams, no, not both home teams, my apologies. The Spurs are looking to close it out in Minnesota, and the Cavaliers are looking to close it out while they remain undefeated at home tomorrow night as well. So you guys are probably wondering, what about a show tomorrow? Not happening. There's not going to be a show tomorrow. I did some deliberate thinking. I don't think there's going to be anything for me to talk about, just because, like, we're in the midst of the playoffs right now. You know what I mean? Like, during the summer, I'll easily be able to throw 3 podcasts up a week because I'll have gone into them, like, knowing stuff to talk about. With no games happening tonight, you're sort of throwing a wrench in my plans because Adam Silver decided to give the West Coast teams an extra day off. I wonder why. So I do want to say thank you to everybody tuning in. Let's just get right into it, okay? I've waffled enough at the beginning of this. Let's just get right into today's show. All I got to say is TikTok, YouTube, be sure to like, follow, sub, all that jazz. Podcast listeners, leave a 5-star rating and review. And Twitch chat, y'all already know you guys got the easiest job in the whole entire world. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, an energy drink, whatever, and enjoy the show. Okay, guys, let's talk about it. You guys have been waiting long enough. The Cavs lead the series 3-2. They look to close it out in Game 6 tomorrow night, Friday the 15th. Cavs also get their first road win of the entire playoffs. They take the series lead. They won in overtime, 117-113. All right, look, guys, I got to say this immediately, okay? And I know that TikTok's going to get very upset by me starting the podcast with this, but I have to, and I hope you guys understand, because I'm a Pistons fan, but I'm a very objective fan. This year, I've had to learn how to separate evaluation from emotion, okay? Emotionally, I was very upset last night. I watched it with my live chat. We did a watch party in my Discord server. I have to separate my emotions from my evaluation and talk about this game and this series objectively. And I've gotten much better as the season has gone on with that. Okay. So let's go ahead and start. And I'm only going to talk about this at the start. Okay. So for anybody tuning in later, I'm just going to start off with this. And for anybody saying that I'm making excuses, I'm not. I'm an analyst, unprofessional, professional analyst, and I have to talk about everything, okay? Now, let's talk about the free throw discrepancy, okay? We have to. You can't talk about the series without talking about this. I'd like to take you guys back to 2006. How old were you in 2006? I was 8. And I remember, like it was yesterday, Dwayne Wade couldn't be stopped. He couldn't be stopped. It was 2006 finals. It was the Dallas Mavericks versus the Miami Heat. Dwayne Wade could not be stopped. He was driving to the hoop. He was doing euro after euro. He was getting his arms yanked, body thrown to the ground. They couldn't stop him. All their focus was on Shaquille O'Neal and stopping Shaq in the playoffs, to where they said, okay, we just got to start knocking Dwayne Wade to the ground. And that's what they were doing. If you guys go watch that, Dwayne Wade was getting knocked down, okay? Let's talk about the free throw discrepancy of that series, because in case you do not know this, that series, there was a 3-game span in which the Miami Heat had an incredible free throw discrepancy against the Dallas Mavericks, and it leads the entire NBA history. That's right. 2020s, 2010s, 2000s, 90s, 80s, 70s, ABA, NBA, pre-merger, and the 60s. That series has the largest 3-game sample size of a free throw discrepancy ever. Now, you're probably wondering, how many more free throws did Dwayne Wade and the Heat have than the Mavericks in 3 games throughout that series? Well, the pinnacle of that series was games 4, 5, and 6. And this took a lot of research. Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat had 47 more free throws than the Dallas Mavericks in games 4, games 5, and game 6. I need to repeat myself. Dwayne Wade and the Miami Heat had 47 more free throws than the Mavs in 3 of those games. Well, if you're wondering why I'm talking about this now for the Pistons, it's because history was just achieved last night. In the last 3 games for the Cleveland Cavaliers, they have 46 more free throws than the Detroit Pistons. 46. 46. The second most all time. And, I wouldn't be that upset about it had it been us clobbering James Harden, knocking his ass to the ground like the Dallas Mavericks were with Dwayne Wade, ripping his arms off his shoulder sockets, beating him into a pulp, and throwing him to the ground. I wouldn't mind if the Cleveland Cavaliers had those free throws, if it was like that, but it's not like that. Tony Brothers, Scott Foster, Tyler Ford, John Goebel, all of these referees have one thing in common. They reward floppers. Last night, I was watching with 60 of my viewers. 60 of my viewers. There were fouls that weren't being called for the Pistons. The Pistons lead the NBA in most shots attempted from 2-point land. And then with the game on the line, and of course, I'm going to talk about the real reason why the Pistons lost. In my opinion, the main reason why the Pistons lost, they couldn't hold on to a lead. But the free throws are whatever you want to talk about. The free throws are an important stat to talk about. I would talk about it if the Pistons got it. I'd talk about it if the Cavs got it. But 46 more free throws than the Detroit Pistons in 3 games has broken history. It's only the second time ever a team has had 35 more free throws than the other team, and they have 46 more free throws than the Pistons in the last 3 games. My point being is, if you are going to be calling fouls like this one, if you're going to be calling fouls like this, because yes, the Cleveland Cavaliers got 2 free throws for this. If you're going to be calling fouls for this, if you're going to be calling fouls for James Harden flopping and twitching every shot he puts up, because James Harden had almost more free throws than the Pistons did, just like Donovan Mitchell had more free throws than the entire Pistons team did the other day. Yes, this was called a foul. They had 2 free throws, and they had most calls like this, exactly like this. Then you have to call this that would have decided the game of Jared Allen tripping and pushing Asar Thompson with 2 seconds left in the game. If you're going to be calling that, then you have to be calling this. You have to. Again, I'm not crediting the lack of foul calls one way for the Pistons losing. I'm not going to do that. If you have to rely on the refs to give you this call, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. If you have to rely on the refs' help to win a game, you've already lost the game. Okay? There were 2 plays in particular. James Harden shot a 3, launched his legs forward, and it got called a foul. 3 free throws. And then 5 minutes later, James Harden shot a 3, launched forward, same contact as there was before. They didn't call a foul. So Kenny Atkinson challenged the call. Tony Brothers said, nope, no foul, just as I said. Both shots, one was called a foul, one wasn't called a foul, one was challenged, and it was still declared that it wasn't a foul. 2 exact shots, 2 exact exaggerated forms. One was a foul, one wasn't a foul. I'm watching Cade Cunningham get his arms ripped in the middle of a 3-point shot. No foul. I'm watching Cade Cunningham drive to the hoop. No foul. I'm watching James Harden bob his head like a fishing bob out fishing in a lake. Every single one. Foul, 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 foul. For 3 quarters, I had to watch the Pistons get momentum every time. And every time they got momentum, foul, 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 foul. For 3 quarters out of this game, the Pistons put the Cavs in the bonus with more than 7.5 minutes left in each quarter. 7.5 minutes. Being in the bonus with 7.5 minutes in 3 out of the 4 quarters in a basketball game, you're going to lose that game. I don't care who you are. You're going to lose that game. So, now that I got all that stuff out of the way, by the way, I can't wait for the last 2-minute report for the refs in Secaucus to come out and say, hey guys, Jared Allen did trip Asar Thompson. That was a foul. The Pistons should have gotten 2 free throws, which would have sealed the game. It's going to happen. It happened last year when Tim Hardaway went for a game-winning shot in Game 3 against the New York Knicks. When Josh Hart jumped at Tim Hardaway Jr., they didn't call a foul. Pistons lost. And then the next day, hey guys, that was a foul. The referees missed it. It's going to happen, Pistons fans. It's going to sting, Pistons fans. It's going to happen, okay? Now that I talked about free throws, I think I talked about free throws for like 7 or 8 minutes, all right? Now we have to talk about the actual reason why the Pistons lost this game, all right? Because I'm not ever going to say the refs lost the team a game. I see the TikTok all saying classic Pistons fan. Listen, guys, I'm sorry you disagree with me. I have to be objective. I have to talk about all the issues with basketball. And a big issue I have with basketball is James Harden flopping like a fucking fish all over the basketball court and getting rewarded for it. Your star player, Donovan Mitchell, after game 1 said, I'm going to have to start flopping to get foul calls. And guess what? He started flopping and the entire team started getting foul calls. When they asked Donovan Mitchell when they were down 2, is there anything that you can exploit to beat the Pistons in the series? Donovan Mitchell said, yes, and smiled. And since then, the Cavaliers have 46 more free throws than the Detroit Pistons, the second highest free throw discrepancy in NBA history. 46 more free throws than the Pistons. That's not a stat that I can just say, nah, it happens. It doesn't happen. And it does not happen. It's happened twice in the NBA where free throw discrepancy over 3 games has been over 40. The Heat Mavs in 2006 and the Pistons Cavs in 2026. You can't win a game like that. You can't win a series like that. TikTok is telling me to stop effing yapping. You know what? I'll stop yapping. I have a lot of reasons as to why the Pistons lost this game, and I'm going to talk about it, okay? TikTok, have a blessed day. We're live on Twitch. Bye-bye. If you guys want more show, come to the Twitch stream. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Love y'all. I'll see you guys in the Twitch stream. Jay-Z Uncut. I'm ending the TikTok right now just to bait more interaction so that they come to the Twitch. All right? Now, let's talk about the real reason why I believe the Pistons lost this game. Okay? The free throws are a big part, but let's talk about why the Pistons lost this game. If you guys are watching with me, you guys saw exactly what I wanted you to see. The Pistons were going neck and neck, lead changing, tied game, going there, going here. I fully agree, and that's what I said. Free throws are only a part of the reason why they lost. I fully agree. I'm never going to blame refs for deciding a game, no matter how much I want to. Me a couple of years ago, absolutely, I would have. But now I got to look at things objectively and look at why my team actually lost this basketball game. I want you guys to pay attention to something. And anybody who was watching in the watch party last night, like raise your hand. Let me know. Say me if you were here in the watch party, because you saw exactly what I'm about to refer to. Back and forth. The Pistons are going back and forth over and over again in the first quarter. It was going back and forth. And then in the second quarter, the Pistons started to pull away. They started to pull away. Isaiah Stewart came in, hit back-to-back threes. And the Pistons offense and defense started really clicking. Stu got a big block. Stu hit back-to-back threes. And the Pistons were rolling. The Pistons were up by 15 points in the second quarter. What could have happened to make the Pistons lose that lead so quick? Jalen Duren checked back in. And immediately, he got called for a 3-second violation. Immediately. Okay, that's only 1 point. That's fine. What happens the next play? Jalen Duren gives up a wide open layup for Jared Allen. Okay, what happens the next play? Jalen Duren doesn't go off the hard hedge and gives a wide open 3. By the way, for anybody coming into the Twitch and talking shit, I rage bait the TikTok just to get them to come through to the Twitch and Raph on Demon Time. You fell for it. So I appreciate you coming through to the Twitch because I already restarted the TikTok. And I will end the TikTok again and just bait more people coming into the Twitch. So thank you for proving to me that that works. Much love. So Jalen Duren checks back in. And all of a sudden, the Cavs are back in the game. They brought it to within 5 points in the second quarter. The Pistons ended up going up, I think, 7 or 8 going into halftime. But all's to say, the moment Jalen Duren checked back into the game, the Pistons' lead evaporated. So guess what happened? Stu is still hurt, but Stu was playing better. And I won't be told that Mobley's been clamping Duren. I won't be told that. Duren's clamping Duren. Nobody clamped Duren in the first series, and he still sucked. Nobody clamped Duren in the first 2 games of the series, and he still sucked. So nobody's clamping Duren. Duren has been clamping Duren mentally, physically, in every which way. So what happened? The third quarter starts. Mind you, the Pistons lose their lead, and they are fully going neck and neck for the rest of the third quarter. And Jalen Duren is still in the game. We lost our lead completely with him playing. So what happens after that? Well, the game has been going on for 36 minutes. Max Strus is hitting some insane bombs at the end of shot clocks. He ended up hitting 6 threes last night. Insane bombs at the end of shot clocks. So many times the Pistons locked them up, and then they passed to Strus to bail them out, and he was just hitting 3 after 3 after 3 after 3. The Pistons lost the lead at the end of the third quarter. And JB Bickerstaff just watched Jalen Duren suck at basketball for 25 more minutes. And he decides, okay, I guess we'll play Paul Reed. I guess we will. Paul Reed brought the Pistons back in the game. Paul Reed is the reason why the Pistons took the lead by 9. That and Cade Cunningham going crazy in the fourth quarter. How many points did Cade have in the fourth? He had 8, and then he just couldn't hand anything at the end. So in case you don't know, the Pistons went up by 9 points in the fourth quarter, all courtesy of Paul Reed coming into the game. So what could have happened? Well, after not playing Paul Reed for 36 minutes, JB Bickerstaff then played Paul Reed for not only the final 12 minutes of the entire fourth quarter, but also played him for the entire 5 minutes in overtime. Eddie, thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate you, bro. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. It's a much better experience over here in the Twitch. I actually read all the messages here in Twitch. So you're telling me, and there's a couple good things that I will talk about here. JB Bickerstaff realized, oh my God, Jalen Duren's not going to help us win the most important game of the season. I guess I may as well use my trump card and put my break glass in case of emergency center on the court for the first time tonight. You had multiple chances. You had multiple opportunities. You had games of giving him DNPs. There's nobody who has a bigger heart and more effort and more energy and is actually just inserting the Pistons and playing winning basketball more than B-ball Paul Reed. Nobody. Not your starting center. Not your backup center because he's hurt. But your third string center, Paul Reed, who could start on most basketball teams in this NBA. Well, the Pistons were up by 9. So what happened? 3 minutes left. Pistons up by 9. What happened? Cavs hit a shot. The moment Cade passed half court, blitzed, double teamed, immediately blitzed. And Cade was actually doing what Cade was supposed to do. And I'm happy about it. Cade was hitting his shots, and then they started blitzing him as soon as he passed half court. And Cade, to his credit, did exactly what he was supposed to do. He found the open man immediately. When you guys get double teamed at half court, Kevin Durant doesn't understand this for some weird reason. He's been in the NBA for 100 years and he doesn't understand what to happen. When you get blitzed at half court, you have to get the ball off of you immediately. So they blitzed him. He didn't dribble too much. He got the ball off his hands immediately. He found Tobias Harris wide open for a 3. Tobias Harris puts it up, misses. Okay, they go down the court. Cavs hit another shot. By the way, Asar Thompson's not in the game. In case that needs to be said, Asar Thompson's not in the game anymore. The best perimeter defender in the NBA is not in the game at this point. So what happens? The Pistons go back on offense because they have their high octane offensive lineup of Tobias Harris, Danis Jenkins, Karis LeVert. Cade passes half court. He gets blitzed again. Cade gets the ball out of his hands immediately. Exactly what he's supposed to do. Finds Danis Jenkins wide open. Goes up. Misses. Cavs go down to the other end. No Asar Thompson. Easy bucket. Pistons bring the ball up the court again. Cade gets double teamed, blitzed immediately when he passes half court. He finds Karis LeVert wide open. Puts it up. Misses. Foul on the other end. Evan Mobley gets 2 free throws. Pistons go down the court. He finds Karis LeVert wide open again. Misses. Cade Cunningham, you did everything that you were supposed to do and more. You did everything you were supposed to and more. You got hard blitzed. You gave your teammates wide open shots, and they couldn't hit them. They couldn't hit them. Cade, you did everything you were supposed to do. Duncan Robinson was out, in case you guys don't know. And instead, I'm watching Karis LeVert in closing minutes. He airballed a shot. He rimmed out a 3. And then he rimmed out another 3. You did what you were supposed to do, Cade. It's not your fault that your teammates can't hit wide open shot. Wide open. Not slightly contested. I'm talking in 2K. It would say wide open, not contested. Cade did what he was supposed to do, and nobody could hit shots. So it goes into overtime. Pistons lost already when it went into overtime. Cleveland played well. They finished the game strong. James Harden was flopping everywhere. Cavs fans, you guys can agree. James Harden was flopping everywhere. He did what he was supposed to do. He knows he's gonna get his calls. Cade had 39 points, 9 assists. He had actually 24 potential assists. So just to show you that off 15 passes, his teammates missed wide open shots. He also had 7 rebounds, 6 turnovers, which 3 of them should even be credited to him because his teammates can't catch a normal pass. Karis LeVert, 2 for 7, 0 for 3 from deep. I have some stuff I have to talk about. Asar Thompson had 6 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals, 3 blocks, and JB is still benching him at the end of the game and still giving easy buckets to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So let's talk about my opinion on what the Pistons did wrong here. Now, I'd like to start with the top. JB Bickerstaff. I have to start with JB. In case you guys don't know, I was out on JB last year. In the playoffs in particular against the New York Knicks, the Pistons were continuously up by 10 points at the end of almost every single Knicks game. At the end of almost every single Knicks game in the playoffs last year, the Pistons were up by double digits. And then JB Bickerstaff, for some godforsaken reason, would keep taking Asar Thompson out. Then Jalen Brunson would score 14 points straight. Pistons lose the game. That happened 5 out of the 6 games. 5 out of the 6 games. JB Bickerstaff takes Asar Thompson out. Jalen Brunson goes crazy. Pistons lose the game. You put Asar Thompson back in the game too late. That happened over and over and over again. And after that playoff series, I said, you know what? I'm fully out on JB Bickerstaff. Eddie, I told you to come through to the Twitch stream, bro. The Twitch chat is not toxic like the TikTok. TikTok, if you guys are enjoying the stream, be sure to come through to the Twitch. It's a much better viewing experience over here, much better chatting experience. And guess what, Eddie? If you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will personally gift you a $6 subscription so you no longer get ads. So you made the right decision, Eddie. You just got to watch 2 more Twitch streams and I will gift you a $6 subscription so you no longer get ads. TikTok, be sure to come through to the Twitch just like my homie Eddie did. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my bio. King Tough, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it very much. A Prime sub as well. It's 100% free. So I said last year after that Knicks series, I am out on JB Bickerstaff. I'm out. And then this season, the season went by and I'm still seeing the same things. The Pistons are in a tight game. We need stops. He takes Asar Thompson out. Pistons lose the game. That it happened throughout the regular season. Most of the Pistons losses this season were because JB Bickerstaff was reluctantly taking Asar Thompson out of the game. Now, in case you guys don't know why JB Bickerstaff does this, he sees Asar Thompson make one mistake and he yanks him out and screams at him on the bench. He screams at him on the bench. And multiple times throughout the season, when Asar Thompson makes a mistake, he benched him for the rest of the game. I'm not kidding. There are multiple games this season where Asar Thompson only plays 15 minutes because JB Bickerstaff gets upset over him making one misplay on defense and as punishment screams at him and benches him for the rest of the game. That happened multiple times this season. Now, let's talk about favoritism. JB Bickerstaff has said, and I quote, "My players got to know that I believe in them. So I'm not going to just bench Duren, even though he's been bad for 12 playoff games, all the playoff games. I'm not going to bench him. I'm not going to bench Danis for having a rough start to his playoff career. They need to know that their head coach believes in them." Well. This is weird. So Danis, a two-way player, doesn't get benched because his coach believes in him. Jalen Duren, who I will talk about how historical his collapse has been later in the show, who's been completely worthless, a liability on all accounts. He doesn't get benched because his coach believes in him. But Asar Thompson, who makes one simple mistake, he gets benched, he gets yelled at, he gets ridiculed, and he's got a short leash, but nobody else does. Very interesting. Everybody who was watching the game with me last night can see B-Ball Paul was getting tired towards the end of the fourth quarter and overtime. He was getting tired. You didn't play the guy almost all of these playoffs, and then you play him for 17 minutes straight. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about JB Bickerstaff strictly right now. Beezy, my number one Heat fan, shout out the Heat, shout out Beezy. He came in and he said, JB had some cojones last night. I saw the rotations he was making. Sasser played, Karras played, Herter played after coming back from injury. Paul played, he finished the game. And I'm here to tell you, that's not cojones. That is clueless. JB Bickerstaff, what that told me last night, you're playing Marcus Sasser, who hasn't played in the playoffs. He hasn't played basketball in 3 months. You played Marcus Sasser for 16 minutes, who I believe deserves minutes. Should he have played in the most important game of the season for 16 minutes? No. You haven't played him all year. You haven't played him all year. This is the playoffs. You don't experiment like this. You have 82 games. I need to repeat myself. Shout out to Fatty Head who just came through to the Twitch stream. I hope more of you come to the Twitch stream. You have 82 games in the regular season to experiment lineups, to play guys and see if they deserve minutes. But in the most important game of the year, of the last 20 years, in the most important game of the year, you play Marcus Sasser for 16 minutes after he hasn't played 16 minutes in the last 5 months of basketball. That's not an exaggeration either. Marcus Sasser has not played 16 minutes in a basketball game more than one time all season, and that was because the entire starting and bench players were out. You just played Marcus Sasser, who hasn't played more than garbage time all season long, for 16 minutes in the most important game of the season. You just played Careless LeVert 24 minutes in the most important game of the season when Duncan Robinson was out. You just played Kevin Herter for 3 minutes when you need shooting. 3 minutes. It doesn't take balls to do what JB Bickerstaff did last night. It takes a monkey smacking cymbals together in your head to make decisions like that. Your season's on the line, and you play guys who haven't played all season. Most important game of the year, and you play guys that don't deserve minutes. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, Marcus Sasser, he's going to be a special player in the NBA. When he's off of the Pistons this summer, he's going to go be special somewhere else. JB doesn't want him. Now, Karis LeVert, he wouldn't be in the NBA if not for JB Bickerstaff. And Karis LeVert played that many minutes in a game. That's the most important game of the season. And I understand missing Duncan Robinson was crucial. But if you need shooting, you have Red Velvet. You have Kevin Huerter. Play him. You don't. Your starting center has been worthless all season long. And your third string center has been incredible. And he's been one of the best players in this entire series in the time he's played. And you don't play him until the fourth quarter. And to credit JB Bickerstaff, he did something that I really, really, really enjoyed. I really enjoyed. And I think Pistons fans, you guys need to recognize this more. What JB Bickerstaff did last night, that's going to be talked about from all the other 29 GMs in the NBA. When they all look at Jalen Duren and see that he's a restricted free agent this summer, they're all going to talk about this one game in particular. Your all-star, your all-NBA center was just benched in the most important quarter of your entire NBA season. Not for Stu, but for your third backup center. The backup to your backup. That's who your all-NBA, your all-star center just got benched for. All the other 29 GMs saw this. They all saw this. And that's sweet. That's sweet. So, I saw some very important tweets that I got to talk about. I think the Locked On Pistons guy worded it perfectly. He said, and I quote, "I'm going to preface this with this. I believe in Jalen Duren's future, still very strongly, but the Pistons were up by 15 points when he checked in. Since then, he picked up a 3-second violation and just now was at the wrong angle in his pick and roll coverage and gave up a wide open layup to Allen. Detroit is now just up 7. Because of Duren, they ended up losing the entire lead. This is too important of a game for JB to ride with him no matter what. He needs to make some decisions." Now, you guys all know Kofi, famous content creator, big content creator. He's also a Pistons fan. Oh, did he delete the tweet? He might have deleted the tweet. He did. But since he deleted the tweet, I still got it in my likes. He said JB Bickerstaff threw games 4 and 5 to spare the feelings of his all-star center who was playing like Reggie Evans. This is not a serious individual. Our coach waited 3 quarters to play the center that he has kept in the game throughout the fourth quarter and overtime. This speaks volumes. Volumes. So, because of that, I want to talk about Jalen Duren in the next segment. For now, all I have to say about the Cavaliers, man, is they shot how many more threes? They shot 2 more threes in the Pistons. They shot 16 less 2-pointers, and they had 18 more free throws, creating a 46 free throw discrepancy over the last 3 games, which is the second biggest discrepancy in free throws ever in NBA history. The Pistons, they couldn't stop turning the ball over. They had 15 turnovers, but it was still less than the Cavs. The big men were sort of non-existent. Evan Mobley hit a huge 3 to end this game. A couple huge free throws as well. Jared Allen had 16 and 10. Donovan Mitchell was locked up all game and then decided to turn up in the fourth quarter in overtime. My apologies. And you know why he turned up in the overtime, right? Because he took Asar Thompson out of the game. Donovan Mitchell was locked up all game. And now for my final note on this game, James Harden, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. He had 14 free throws, and he was 3 for 10 from 3. Max Strus was the killer. He was the killer. Shout out to my boy Shab for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. Shout out to you for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch stream. Much love, bro. This is my final note. Final note on this game, and then we'll talk about something historic that you guys do not want to miss. I want to show you guys something. Cleveland this season They are middle of the pack at free throws attempted. They're 14th in getting free throws. 14th, which means they are fully average at drawing free throws. Average. Now on the other side, it's very interesting. The Pistons, they were third in most free throws attempted all year. Third. That's top 3 versus top 15. And there has been a 46 free throw discrepancy. This is not anything to say. The Pistons choked their lead. Cade Cunningham did everything and more that he was supposed to do. His teammates just missed wide open shots. And at the end of the day, if your teammates can't be relied upon to hit wide open shots, what more do you expect? Great game from the Cleveland Cavaliers. My prediction was Cavs in 6. It looks like I'm right. That was my prediction. I said Cavs in 6. But what hurts me a lot is I thought it'd be Cavs in 6 because the big man would just absolutely they would wreak havoc. They'd create such a mismatch that Cade wouldn't be able to drive into the hoop and the Pistons wouldn't be able to get down low. I didn't think that we'd be talking about them getting 46 more points than the Pistons in the last 3 games from the free throw line. I did not expect that. I expected them to just try to out-physical us. My prediction was Cavs in 6. It's looking like I might be right. Unfortunately, it's looking like I might be right. Now, as a Pistons fan, I can admit when my team fucks up. I did it today. I did it 2 days ago. Did it the day before. I can talk about the Pistons' faults more than anybody. The Pistons already lost 3 in a row. Can they lose 4 in a row? It will be interesting. It will be interesting. Now, guys, before I move on, TikTok, be sure to leave the TikTok stream and come through to the Twitch stream. There's 100 of y'all over there. I'd love for you guys to come through to the Twitch. Remember, guys, we do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. There's probably not going to be a show tomorrow because there's no games tonight. But what I will tell y'all is, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will personally gift you a $6 subscription so you no longer get ads on Twitch. So you are missing out on so much by not coming through to the Twitch. So what I want to talk about as well is we have to talk about this fall off from Jalen Duren. We have to. And I hope you guys stuck around. My OGs, I hope you guys stuck around for this because it's actually really interesting. I went ahead and looked at NBA history to see who's the last player to have this much of a fall off in the playoffs. So before we move on, let's talk about what Jalen Duren has been doing, okay? Have we ever seen a player collapse this much in the playoffs? In the regular season, Jalen Duren was averaging, let's just round up, 20 and 11. He was averaging 20 and 11. He was also shooting 65% from the field. He was averaging 20 and 11 while shooting 65% from the field. Well, in the playoffs, Jalen Duren is averaging 10 points per game. That's 10 points less. He's averaging 8 rebounds per game. That's 3 rebounds less. He's playing more minutes, and his field goal percentage dropped by 15%. So he went down 10 points per game. He went down 3 rebounds per game. His minutes went up, and his field goal percentage also dropped by 15%. I'd like to just say before I tell you guys the answer, Ray and Grapefruit, thank you guys so much for leaving the TikTok and coming through to the Twitch. Much love, guys. Be sure to join our Discord as well. And remember, if you watch 3 Twitch streams in a row, I will personally gift you a $6 subscription so you no longer get ads. I appreciate you, boys. I appreciate y'all. So let's talk about the last player to have this much of a collapse. I had to look up all All-Stars in NBA history. We can all guarantee that Jalen Duren will also be All-NBA, correct? There's some of you guys that had him as All-NBA second team. I had him as an All-NBA third team. So I had to lock in all of these parameters. I had to look up All-Star. I got some answers. I had to look up All-NBA. I got some answers. You know what I didn't get? an all-star and all NBA player. I didn't get one. There's not a single all NBA or all-star player in the history of the sport that has collapsed to this extent in the playoffs. There's not one. What we are watching, ladies and gentlemen, is history in real time. If you are watching the series, you are seeing the biggest fall off in one season in NBA history. No, I do not use ChatGPT. I use Basketball Reference, StatMuse, and Claude. There is not a singular player in NBA history that has collapsed this significantly ever. Ever. So, my question begs, had they had Jalen Duren, and I'm talking the regular season Jalen Duren in this series, are we talking about how many games the Knicks Pistons are going to right now? I think so. I think this would have been long over had it been normal Jalen Duren. And no, I won't be told that Allen and Mobley will do that to you. It's not. No, I highly disagree. He couldn't score on Franz Wagner last series. He couldn't score on Mo Wagner. He couldn't score on Wendell Carter. This is not Jared Allen or Evan Mobley, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jalen Duren. I'd love to give credit to Mobley. He's been great. I'd love to give credit to Jared Allen, but I can't. Because he couldn't score on Franz Wagner. He's got 70 pounds on Franz Wagner and 4 inches. He couldn't score on Paolo Banchero. He couldn't score on Wendell Carter Jr. He couldn't score on Mo Wagner. I saw him get blocked by Jamal Cain. This is not how good defense is. Because by all accounts, by the way, Jared Allen's defense has been insane. This is not how good the other team's defenders have been. This is truly how bad Jalen Duren has been. And you know what Jalen Duren has to say about it after every game? I got to be better, bro. I got to be better. I got to be better, bro. You don't fucking say. You've been saying that for the last 12 games. You've been saying that every game in the playoffs. You got to be better. You don't fucking say, I got to lose weight. You know how I'm losing weight? I'm dieting. I'm going to the gym every day. I'm doing something about it. How are you going to be better? How are you applying yourself to be better? Because what I'm seeing right now, it's not coming down to effort. If you guys watched last night, it's not effort. It's simply a collapse, a monumental collapse. We will be talking about this exact moment in time, at least I will as a Pistons fan, for the next 20 years. I talk about Greg Monroe every day. I have a Greg Monroe jersey behind me. I talk about Andre Drummond, Jason Maxiell, Josh Smith, Josh Harrelson, Anthony Tolliver, Joel Anthony, Thon Maker, Nerlens Noel, Marvin Bagley III. I talk about these guys every day. You bet your ass, if Jalen Duren looks like this, he will then become one of those memes in Detroit sports history. And I don't know what's worse, his playoff performance or the fact that I spent $140 on this jersey. And I even got a picture with him. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what we are watching is the most historical and most significant drop-off by any all-star and all-NBA player, not this season, not this decade, not this century, but in NBA history. I thought John Lure was going to be the next Kevin Durant. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to give you my stud of the night. Well, there's only one game last night. The obvious answer is James Harden, but I'm not rewarding a flopper. I'm not rewarding the guy that has single-handedly made me hate basketball over the last 10 years. I'm not giving it to James Harden. In fact, I'm taking a little swerve here. I'm taking a swerve. I was going to take Max Strus. I was. And in actuality, it is Max Strus. They don't win this game without Max Strus dropping 20. It is Max Strus. But I'm taking an even bigger swerve. The studs of the night is Jalen Duren and JB Bickerstaff. Jalen Duren for absolutely sabotaging the Detroit Pistons for the entire playoff run, and JB Bickerstaff for not understanding how to coach a basketball team at all. Rotations, horrible. Lineups, horrible. Time management, horrible. JB Bickerstaff is a great coach, but what he can't do is solidify rotations and lineups in the playoffs. And that is why I believe that JB Bickerstaff should have been fired last playoffs. I don't care that he tripled the win total last year. I don't care that he just gave the Pistons their first ever playoff series win in 20 years. I don't care that this is the third highest win total the Pistons have ever had in a regular season. JB Bickerstaff is none other than a bridge coach. He does not know how to coach in the playoffs. He does not know. You are experimenting lineups in the playoffs, lineups that have never played together ever. You are doing that actively in the playoffs. You are watching your all-star, all-NBA center collapse and be horrible all playoffs long, and yet you are continuing to play him over the guy that has single-handedly kept you into the games over the last 3 games. JB Bickerstaff, Jalen Duren, you two are the studs of the night, not for the Pistons, not for the city of Detroit, not for the Mitten, but for the state of Ohio and the city of Cleveland. The Cavaliers, thank you. The Cavaliers, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's going to do it for today's show. That's all I got for y'all. That's all I got for the week. Little 45-minute podcast on just one game. Who's doing it like me? Who's doing it? Now, guys, again, I would like to reiterate, there's probably not going to be a show tomorrow. There's no games tonight. There's no games. So I'm going to send y'all into the weekend today. All right? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you did enjoy, podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. Grilled Cheese, thank you for the follow on Twitch. If you guys missed these podcasts and you guys want to watch them live, we post them on Spotify, Apple, and the podcast YouTube channel. If you guys want to watch my documentaries, there's another one releasing this Saturday. It's about the worst big threes in NBA history. So Kobe fans, LeBron fans, Durant fans, Westbrook fans, talking to y'all. That releases this Saturday at noon. If you want to check that out, Jay-Z Uncut on YouTube, link in the description, link in the bio, link in the comment section down below. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got to say. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Tomorrow is Game 6 of Minnesota and Spurs. Minnesota versus San Antonio and Pistons versus Cavs. If you want my predictions on them, the Spurs are favored by 4.5. I am taking the Spurs. I think that series is over. And for the Pistons, Cavs are favored by 4.5. I think they should be favored by 12.5. And guess what? The Pistons are taking Game 6. You heard it here first. The Pistons are ending the 3-game winning streak of the Cleveland Cavaliers in the playoffs. They are making the Cavaliers lose their first game at home in these playoffs. The Pistons are going to take it back to Detroit for Game 7 and lose in front of their home crowd. You heard it here first. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your weekends. If I am somehow wrong in my prediction and they end up coming back and winning in 7, I will give you a surprise podcast on Sunday afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I want to say thank you all for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And thank you for being the best community on Twitch. I appreciate you all so very much for listening, for watching, for all of it. I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. Twitch chat, stick around because you know we are still live. Have a beautiful weekend, everybody.